welcome back to Black Book Stacks. I am your host, Toshonda Sanders, and welcome to October. Is that where we are? That's where we are. Thank you so much for your likes, shares, and subscribes. Thank you so much for your comments, and also letting me know what you're reading and what you're responding to, and when you miss the ambient noise of my neighborhood, which was funny to read in the last video. And I also wanted to show off the books behind me for a change. You can't see them in my other location because the bookshelf is basically like leaning over and perilously close to collapsing. So anyway, I thought I would do something different than my regular roundup, since there weren't that many books for the fall that I haven't already mentioned that I was excited about, that I haven't written about or talked about in some way already. So I wanted to talk about What Starboard Thunder by Myriam Chancy. This is a beautiful novel that comes out October 5th. It's published by Tin House, and it is not a debut novel. I believe she's written other books. She's a Haitian Canadian American writer, and she is chair of humanities at Scripps College in California. Okay, so I peeked into this book because I just was curious about its cover. The hummingbird can be spiritually associated with joy, but I knew that the novel was about the January 12th, 2010 earthquake in Haiti. So I was curious about how this writer would connect them. I'm not familiar with her work. I hadn't read any of it before. And I was just transported through the characters, who are all sort of related in one way or the other, to one another. They orbit in each other's, they're in each other's orbits, I should say, and she tells the story of the impact of the earthquake on each of them in a really beautiful way. It's hard to talk, I think, in the middle of a pandemic that's becoming endemic, about a disaster being told, or a record of a disaster being told in a way that's beautiful, but that's exactly what she does. It's just really masterful, you know. It is it incorporates, I think, the long-reaching impacts of the earthquake, but also is, I think, particularly resonant given what's going on with migrants from Haiti and deportations at our border. I was almost done, actually, when I started to see some of the really disturbing images of Border Patrol on horseback rounding up folks of Haitian descent. And it's so interesting to me, the continued struggle, I guess, of Haiti for recognition, but also respect. And I think obviously there's a lot of like colonialism and other structural isms that play into how Haiti is regarded or disregarded. In the novel, there is stuff about like it being a shithole country, essentially, like Trump language, without mentioning him specifically, I think. There's a perspective of migrants to this country hearing news of the earthquake and people back home while working, and what I guess the reader finds out, I don't think it's a spoiler per se, but in the afterword, we find out that this is essentially a living document that incorporates some of the stories that Myriam would hear after reading or visiting or giving talks in various places around the world, which is, to me, part of what makes the book so stunning, right? That there's not just a culturally sensitive and timeless document for the generations that incorporates the humanity of people who are so often dehumanized, but also that it is a communal text. It is a collective affirmation, testimony, eulogy. It has some humor in it. It has some devastating sexual assault aspects to it. Exploitation is kind of in there, but not in an insensitive way. So, but here, I think I highlighted some things, which is unusual for me in a novel. I underlined some things, but I was beginning to think about what names mean, and for something else I was writing, and I underlined Diodane, which I'm probably sure that's a mispronunciation, but like I don't speak any other languages other than Spanish and English, so bear with me. God-given, one of these new God-fearing names that cropped up in the late 20th century as Haitian mothers seemed to place trust in the only place that it could thrive, on the heads of their children in some future tense. Yeah, I mean, nothing that I say I think is going to really capture or convey like the beauty of the book. It's blurred by Edward Chancy, who says, "Sublime, a striking and formidable novel by one of our most brilliant writers and storytellers." And I sometimes think that blurbs oversell because that's kind of what they're meant to do. But in this case, I think that that's exactly right. You know, this is, I think it's refreshing to know that when you're living through challenging times, that our storytellers are watching and that they are documenting what seems like it's impossible to document. And so I really highly recommend this book as one to consider and read, if not in October, then in general, but with Storm, with Thunder. Let me know what you're reading, what releases you're looking forward to in October. I hope that I'll be back again soon with another review, and looking forward to seeing you then.